everyone. So welcome to our first lecture. If you guys see, there is a text at the bottom that's translating automatically from what I'm saying verbally to text if you need it. Please disregard if you don't need it. And then I apologize if it doesn't translate exactly what I'm saying, and if there's issues within that. So my apologies, but I've noticed it does translate quite well. And so today we are doing an introduction of the 6 life skills that we're really going to be looking in depth on in our time together in this course. And so what are life skills? They are items that enable children to be successful in school and in life, right? These are skills that we really do need and to be successful and as children as adults. And so through this lecture, I want you to be really thinking about how you see your role in developing these life skills in children. And I also want you to have in the back of your mind 2 children that you have worked with or, you've spent a lot of time around. So if you haven't worked with children, choose children that maybe that are of your own, that are niece and nephews, just any children you've spent quite some time around. Maybe you babysat. And I want you to consider thinking of one that's considered maybe like, quote unquote easy, and one that's considered quote unquote more challenging. And when I say easy and challenging, I really want it to be understood that that is not good or bad, or negative or positive connotations with it, right? Challenging child can be quite wonderful and awesome. And so I do really, we need some sort of descriptor, right? And so although challenging has a negative connotation, that is not how we're using it here. We want to think of children that are quote unquote more challenging as children who just need more from us, who need our help more, right, to grow their positive life skills. Okay, and so we are going to be, as we learn each life skill in this lecture, we are going to be looking at where these children fall on the scale of measuring these life skills. And this scale is in our textbook, and it's on page 26. So if you want to open your textbook now, that would be a good time, because we're just going to be referring back to that page. Actually, I'm going to go there now too. It's titled This Way or That Way Form. Okay, so this is what we're going to be kind of scoring these kiddos on that we're looking at. So the first life skill is attachment, and I love attachment theory. Being a marriage and family therapist, I did my senior thesis in my master's program on adult attachment styles, and there's just, and I just love, even with attachment as it relates to early childhood development and working with children who have trauma and seeing how impactful attachment that life skill has on the success of children, of young children, and then them becoming successful adults. It's just such a powerful, powerful life. We are people, we are relational beings, right, as humans. And so attachment's huge because, it's really describing kind of our connection with others, right? Positive connections or also negative, right? But we do need those relationships in order to thrive as humans. And so the usage of the term attachment can be different based on different fields, right? And so within this textbook, they describe it as any close and ongoing relationship that the child has with one or more adults inside and outside of the home. And so Bowlby describes attachment as, a unique relationship between an infant and his caregiver that is the foundation for further healthy development. And so even the book kind of agrees with me. They describe it as the most important life skill. And why is that? That children are attached to one or more significant adults in their lives, okay? And so some signs of attachment in the classroom you might observe. This is important. You might, notice a child is attached to a teacher when the child seeks like close proximity to them. Maybe like leans in when they're feeling nervous, right? Needs a hug when they're feeling upset. It shows a positive attachment. They feel safe, and they feel comfortable, right? Or maybe they're so excited to tell you at the beginning of the day that they just got a puppy, or they just went to Disneyland, or they visited a grandparent. Kids just love to tell, right, their teachers everything, that they're just, to teachers that they feel safe with, right? Some signs that a child is not attached, it may include maybe like not answering a teacher's prompts, not wanting to hug or be consoled by a teacher, right? So trust has to be built. The attachment has to be built, right? And that's okay. That's fine. And so if you guys want to look at your form, now that we just, briefly went over attachment, where do those two kiddos fall for you? Do they, referring to the easy and challenging child, do they fall more to the left where they avoid and have little use for adults, or do they fall more to the right where they like and get along well with adults? So make a note where you score the kiddos there, or put them on the little line on that spectrum there. Okay. And then we'll move on to belonging. So, belonging. First experiences in belonging center around family members, right? But our social worlds, they grow larger and larger, moving away from infancy. So, a strong sense of belonging you might see at school as siblings at school might reach out for each other. They may seek out like their older sibling or their younger sibling. That shows like a strong sense of belonging. Or, may reference their mom when on campus as my mom, right? Just making sure everyone knows like, yeah, that's mine. Or sharing and talking excitedly about their grandparents, right? Or their really cool uncle or aunt. And that shows that they feel like they belong somewhere, right? So some signs of feeling a sense of belonging in the classroom include when the child makes friends with other peers, when they are happy to arrive at school, and they move comfortably in the classroom. Not belonging looks like a child saying things like, nobody likes me, nobody lets me play. And now this is a sense of belonging, right? So this might not even be accurate. There might be tons of kids trying to reach out saying, do you want to play? Do you want to do this with me? And the child is maybe rejecting those cues. Something's holding them back. And so they're not feeling like they belong. And so that's important, is that they have that intrinsic sense of belonging with the group or someone else. And so let's look at that scale again, page 26, for belonging now, the second one. Are they more to the left, which is apart from the group, or are they more part of the group? Okay, we'll move on to self-regulation. So our textbook defines self-regulation as the ability for a child to understand and safely manage emotions when they occur. And so a lot can happen. A child's ability to learn self-regulation skills, right? Developmental factors, biological, environmental factors. So further along in the course, we're going to review, what impacts the self-regulation, such as adverse childhood experiences, and then we will learn skills to promote self-regulation that you can teach children. So I found like a really basic review of self-regulation with with adults and with children, and it's just perfect. It's only like 2 minutes long, so I'm going to play that here.
Successful people have strong self-regulation skills. They use them every day. The skills help them consciously direct, sustain, and shift their attention when necessary. They help them monitor and manage their thoughts, behavior, and emotions in this complicated world of ours. 3 of the self-regulation skills, known as executive function skills, are cognitive. These are used to monitor and manage attention, thoughts, and behavior. A 4th self-regulation skill is the ability to monitor and manage emotions. These skills are not inborn, but they are teachable, and we depend on them every day, especially when the going gets rough. Just like adults, when students are upset or angry, it's hard for them to use their executive function skills because their strong emotions take over. This can also make it difficult for them to listen, remember rules, and stay focused on learning. So, learning to monitor and manage emotions allows students to recognize their strong feelings and use strategies to calm down. Then, they can use their executive function skills again. And research shows students with strong self-regulation skills have higher academic achievement and are less likely to act in impulsive or aggressive ways, or to withdraw when overwhelmed. They're also more likely to get along well with others and have strong social skills. Students with poor self-regulation skills can have emotional and behavioral problems and academic trouble, and are more likely to be expelled from school, starting as early as preschool. When students learn and practice self-regulation skills, they can build academic achievement, social competence, and positive growth throughout their lives.
All right, so very quick video that really does just hit all of those highlights on self-regulation. And so if you want to look at your scale again on page 26, far to the left, do the children that you have spent time with or worked with. Do their emotions rule their behavior? So that might look more like a child who is feeling really angry, and so they completely are, unreachable, right? Like they're not consolable, and that they just hit the other child who upset them, right? Or hitting the teacher. Or can they safely manage those emotions farther to the right? So that's a stronger sense of the self-regulation life skill, is that they are able to feel sad or feel hurt or feel anger, right? And they're able to cope with that through healthier, safer responses. So that could be crying is fine, right? That's a safe way to release our feelings. And it's, it could look like sharing verbally with someone, or even with that other child, of, standing up for themselves and saying, an I statement, like, it's harder for little kids to use an I statement of, I feel sad when this happened, but you might hear something like, that hurt my feelings. I don't like it when you do that, right? So let's move on to our 4th one. Oh, there we go. Started the video again. All right, collaboration. So in kids' terms, right, collaboration looks like getting along well with others pretty easily. Basically well understood there, right, is they can collaborate. Teamwork, right? You see these kids able to join each other and play a game well with each other, without causing any sort of disruption or chaos, So like maybe there's a child who is able to join the group, but then all the other group members are now upset because they're like right when that child joined, they disrupted everything, or maybe they're like, no, like we're doing it my way. If we don't do it my way, it's not going to happen. And they start throwing the, materials or something. And it upsets all the other children, right? So that might be a weaker end of the collaboration life skill. Whereas they're able to join, a game. Hey, can I play with you guys? Cool. Like, what are you guys playing? Oh, that's awesome, right? Or like even if they wanted to do it a little different, they say, hey, what if we did it this way? But you see like compromising skills, right, at play. That's collaborating. That's teamwork, right? And so we use those as adults. Or we don't, right? But so if you want to look at the scale again, the very far left side of where it's a more of a weaker skill for the child is that they struggle to cooperate with other children, or the more stronger side of having this life skills, they work and play well with others. So I'm just giving you a few seconds to think about that. Okay, so our 5 out of 6 life skills now is contribution. And so our textbook defines contribution as the belief in one's own gifts and talents and the desire to use those gifts to better oneself, one's family, one's community, as well as the world at large. So an example the text provided is a baby learning to talk or walk, right? Or a preschooler learning to tie their shoes. And I like how the contribution piece is adding in that they feel like once they're able to grow these skills, right, they can share them with others and help others grow. So maybe you see a preschooler now who just learned how to tie their shoes, helping their friend really patiently, right, to help teach them how to tie their shoes. And so that looks like a contribution, right? So things can happen in early childhood, in the early years that reduces this skill. And you might hear the, I can't do it, or I don't want to help. Those, could have some fear behind it, a sense of fear, of failure, right? Or it might have, there might be a situation where a child has been told, right, that they can't do things right. And so that's what they've been told, and that's how they feel, right? That's how they see themselves. So if you want to look at the scale for contribution, the far, left side of a weaker relationship to this life skill is they act hopeless and helpless. So it's kind of like, hey, like, Timmy, like, where are your shoes? I don't know. And they just stand there, right? I can't go find them. I don't want to go find them. That would be a poorer, score on that scale. Whereas the other side would be they're eager to learn and they're eager to help others. Okay. And so maybe the contribution piece, right, in the shoes, this I can easily reference to my own son who's 4, is he never puts his shoes back. We have a basket and we put shoes in the basket, right, by the back door for the kids to easily just kind of grab, or else I don't know how, but shoes go missing very quickly. And so this is kind of our way of really kind of like being able to leave the house quicker, right, and efficiently. And so his don't always end up in the basket. I don't always like monitor, right, that they're going in the basket. So a question a lot is when we're leaving is, hey, where are your shoes, Stone? He's like, I don't know, right? And so he can be a little bit more weaker on this scale, something that we need to work on, because we'll see some more helplessness. We'll see some more hopeless, like I can't find them, I don't want to, right? And he's still at an age where he really doesn't like going exploring all around the house by himself either. So I have to like kind of like get him to come with me, right? And to find them. And so something that how he could contribute is by learning the skill of like, hey, if like I put them in the basket, right? I'm helping myself, I'm helping the whole family leave the house, right? More efficiently. And again, is this developmentally appropriate? 100%. It's just something that as the parent or maybe as a teacher, this is something we can foster growth in, right? Our final life skill is adaptability. And so children learn how to adapt and be successful in different places with different people. Kids are really resilient and kids are really adaptable. I would say for my time spending time with kids, they've really inspired me to be more resilient and adaptable. I think they can be a lot more resilient than adults actually are. And, a lot of times, though, young children, they need a lot of cues to move from one situation to another, right? Like, we're just so quick to be like, come on, let's go, let's go. Oh, we can go here, we can go there, da da da, da da da. They might struggle with adapting a little bit more than us, right? So it's like we have to foster those skills. So it's not like we can do that through like giving them warnings.